All right, hey everybody, we are live. You guys hear me okay? Everything? How's everybody doing tonight? Not that's the awkward part where I wait for the comments. Well, hey, how are you guys doing? I haven't done a live stream in a little bit. I've really been meaning to, and people have been asking for it a lot, so I was like, okay, let me let me come in, stop on by. I got a haircut yesterday. It's a little shorter than I would have hoped for, but I think I like it. Um, and yeah, wanted to chat a little bit about the election, about history, any questions you guys might have, any questions you might have about videos I've been doing recently or videos that are coming soon. That'd be cool. Hey, Benjamin Rushton, how you doing? Well, I guess you said you're doing good. Cooking lunch right now. Oh, nice. It must be earlier there where you are. It's cool. Um, yeah. Ooh, Roland Nelson. Any idea what Robert Caro's next book is due? Man, I try not to think about it too much. Honestly, Mr. Caro is obviously a much older gentleman, right? And I've seen a lot of Caro fans sort of talk about not really expecting a final book to come out. I'm still holding out hope. I think that I don't know. I mean, you just don't really know where someone else is health wise, right? I mean, look at Jimmy Carter. He's 100 and he survived like eye cancer. So, uh, I would be really hoping that the book happens, but I don't know. We'll see. We got hi from Will Faccaroni, one of the most consistent faces I've seen over on these streams. And if I if I remember correctly, I think you asked me to live stream again. So hopefully you're happy. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put the comments on screen. Benjamin Rushton, it's 12:30 over there. Oh, nice. Where do you live? I wonder what time zone that is. Um, got Ethan. Hey, love the video. Love the videos. Thoughts on VP debate? I'm 19, so I don't remember the elections before 2016, but it was civil and refreshing. Yeah, 2016 was the first real election that I was paying attention to, and I'm not that much older than you. I'm 23, so I was 15, or yeah, I was 15 when that election was happening. Um, yeah, the Walls dance debate was like surprisingly civil, and they had a lot of nice things to say about each other. And I think it's funny how much the sort of bare minimum. It's funny how much the bare minimum can sort of affect you when you're used to something sort of crazy. I mean, I'm like you, and I've kind of just been around for crazy debates for most of my life. But there was like the Democratic primary debates, and there were the Republican primary debates. No matter how sort of inconsequential they ended up being, there were also thoughts or sorry, lost my train of thought. It was inconsequential, but it also seemed very normal. As far as the actual debate itself, I don't think it will be that consequential. Obviously, like VP debates don't matter. That's something all the pundits are going to be telling you. If anything, it'll just be a couple online moments, and I don't really think like regular people that aren't like me and you that are keeping up with politics every day really care that much. So, we got Benjamin Rushton is in New Zealand. That's cool. I have an uncle that lives in Auckland. Roland Nelson is in Perth, Australia. Damn, you guys are from really around the world. That's crazy. Um, Hi Hershey Central, how are you? Um, we got Will Faccaroni. I was really wrong about Kamala. She's doing much stronger than I thought. Thinking back to your never-ending election cycle video, I wonder if her victory could start a trend of very late start. Man, that would be nice. The thing about the see, because I know like pundits always say Kamala would have had a really hard time with a sort of like drawn out democratic process. Like she would have a hard time in a democratic primary, just like she did last time. Though her clout might be a little different now that she's been vice president. I I'd say Kamala was like just a really masterful launch. Like everything related to that was awesome. I was like really surprised also by the quality of that, but the hype. I think just like the sheer, I guess, unbelievable aspect of it, like, oh, Joe Biden actually dropped out. Like there's actually some sort of like hope that a Democrat could win the White House was kind of crazy. And people just kind of were hyped about that for a while. I think that hype has significantly died down by now. Like I think now things feel a lot more regular, but it's definitely still a lot more optimistic. I would love to still make another video about this election before it happens, but I have a couple. I have like the next couple videos figured out, so I probably won't do another video about the election before it happens unless I kind of move the order around of the things that I'm doing. But I'll definitely do a video about it, whether that's before or after the election. We'll see. Thank you, Nihil. I'm glad that you like the videos. Benjamin, you've been to Auckland twice. It's cool, but I'm from the Central South Island. That's nice. I don't really know much about New Zealand, but it seems like an interesting country. Sir Butts the Fourth, welcome. Said, I think the party ended up going with her just so she could use Biden's campaign funds. I don't really see the Dems picking her over someone like Newsom. Yeah, that was a big like incentive for it, and also just like she's the sitting vice president, and it would have like optics wise, it would have been like, hey, you're passing over the first black woman, you know, like the first black woman vice president, the first like female vice president of color, and all that identity stuff, you know. So either way, I think anyone that wanted to challenge Harris to this late in the game would have had a really hard time. If Biden dropped out like on a timeline more similar to that of like LBJ, maybe you would have seen some challengers, but like with how late she dropped out and with the Biden endorsement, I don't think you could really see any challenges. By the way, have you ever been interested in Turkish politics? No, I haven't. I haven't really learned much about Turkish politics, if I'm being honest. I did see the really funny New York Post headline, I believe. It was the Eric Adams indictment, and it was like Grand Theft Ottoman. We got Fernando Chaves over here, another big fan of the channel, or a big friend of the channel. He said Vai Corinthians, which is like Go Corinthians. That's a Brazilian soccer team. I'm not really that into soccer, but my family is are Cruzeiro fans. Crisis Moon said, nice thumbnail. Thank you. Oh, I missed Hershey Central's comment. Do you have an all-time favorite politician? Oh, dude. So I kind of have a hard time with this a lot, right? That I feel like I learned so much about presidents, and I just like study and think about them a lot, especially from like a character standpoint, that I end up sort of thinking just like who's the most interesting. And I know that's kind of a cop-out like answer. I know like people ask me all the time like who's your favorite president, and I can't say that very well. Like most interesting politicians, like you guys know me, I'm gonna say like Richard Nixon, Lyndon Johnson. But if I were to, let me see. Oh, well, if I were to say the most interesting politician who wasn't president in like a U.S. context, I'd probably say Bobby Kennedy. But I don't know if that's really a satisfactory answer. Benjamin Rushton, really interested about the southern states. Like, will states like Georgia and Texas go blue? I don't think Texas will go blue this cycle, maybe not even in the next cycle, but I do think it's really going that direction. Georgia's a big question, right? I think North Carolina is a lot more likely to go blue, just given Mr. Blitler himself, Mark Robinson. North Carolina is going to go. Well, I'm predicting North Carolina will probably go blue for the first time since Obama in 2008, which is huge. I think at best Kamala wins Georgia and North Carolina. Alejandro Garcia, did you see the new Mexico president? She's officially in. Yeah, I don't know about much about her. Gloria Steinbaum is her name, right? I really wish I knew more about international leaders, but that is a Weak spot of mine. Will Macaroni, are there any non-democratically elected leaders that interest you? Ah, man. I mean, Putin's really interesting. Like, I don't think, like, I think everyone's sort of fascinated by Putin in like a weird sort of way. Sean Munger, who does great content here on the platform, did a really, really good video about him. It might be two videos. I don't remember if he split it into parts or not, but it was really fantastic, and I thought it was just like one of the best history videos I've seen on here in a really long time. Another Chaves. Weird questions. Why do so many Brazilians in the U.S. come from Minas Gerais? Yeah, dude. I hope this question isn't too niche, but for those that don't know, I'm from Minas Gerais. I am a Mineiro, and there's a lot of us here. I'm in South Florida, which is a very Brazilian heavy area. I always like joke that the three most concentrated areas of Brazilians in the U.S. are Framingham, Massachusetts, Newark, New Jersey, which I lived in briefly as a little kid, and South Florida. And a lot of us are Mineiros. I don't know why people always joke about people from Valadares, which is sort of like the area that I'm from. I don't know why in particular people come from there. I'd actually be really interested in learning that, but I don't know if that's too niche, a little too niche of a subject area. We got the Nathan Galang said, "What's up, Andre?" I'm actually going to be interviewed by Nathan, if I believe. If I'm going to be, I am going to be interviewed by Nathan Galang this Friday. I don't think it'll be live, but once that is up and posted, I will make sure to share it with you guys. He has a cool channel here on the platform, and you guys should check it out. Bravionics said, "When are you running for office?" I have no interest in running for office. No interest in running for office whatsoever. I have friends of mine that are interested to it, or that are interested in it, and they're always like, "Are you sure, man? Like, are you sure you never do it?" I'm perfectly content just being like an outside observer and just like being, just being interested in it and learning about it. Miguel Ortiz said, "Ever met a world leader in person before?" No, I have not. The most the most prominent politician I ever met personally myself, it's kind of lame, was a former speaker of the Florida House of Representatives, because I used to work for his wife. And I didn't even know that when I got the job that she was married to like a former leader of the Florida House of Representatives. But he's the most high profile person I ever met. I saw George Bush give a talk once at the college that I went to, but I didn't meet him. So Nathan said, "I think North Carolina going blue." Me too. Crisis Moon. I believe the last time Georgia went blue was Jimmy Carter. Did Georgia go blue for Bill Clinton? I mean, I obviously I went for blue for Biden, but I wonder, did Bill Clinton win Georgia? Let me see real quick. You guys probably answer that in the comments more a lot easier than I could. Yeah, it was Jimmy Carter. You're correct. Damn, that's crazy. Well, let's see how our politics realigns. I'm really falling behind on the comments, guys. I'm sorry. Oh, thank you, Michael. I'm glad you love the Bobby Kennedy video. I worked on that for a really long time. Would you guys like to see longer videos? Do you like that more, or would you prefer that I keep doing sort of videos in like the 10 to 20 minute range? Because that's sort of a question I've been thinking about a little bit. Which politician have you learned the most from in terms of changing your way of thinking? So the Years of Lyndon Johnson was like the first big biography series that I ever really read. I've been a fan of presidential history for a really long time, but I wasn't a big reader, and I hadn't really made the leap yet. I had read An Unfinished Life, which is a book about John F. Kennedy by Robert Dallek. But I just I just heard all these great things about the years of Lyndon Johnson, and I was a delivery driver at the time, so I had a lot of time in the car where I just wanted like something playing that I wouldn't have to keep like clicking all the time. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll give these books a chance, and I ended up really falling in love with them. And I think it fundamentally changed the way that I view the presidency, the way that I view power, because it gave me a lot more of an insight into how things actually work. Just like seeing what it takes to be a politician, like the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Like obviously, Washington doesn't work large like in a lot of the same ways that it used to, but I think that it's a great introduction for anybody. And I've actually heard people say that that's like a really common series for people to get into as like their introduction into biographies. I'd say another big one is The Gatekeepers, which I've talked about in my videos before, and I've used it as a source for a lot of my videos, which is a book about the White House Chiefs of Staff. And I think that that book is such a great exploration into the day, like the actual day-to-day workings of the White House itself. And if you just like fundamentally want to actually know how the White House works, I think that that is an awesome book. Um, Sir Butts the Fourth said, I was so happy to see Jimmy Carter make it to 100. He may not have been a great president, but he's such a good person. It's super fitting to see him being the first president to make it to 100. Yeah, it's really awesome. Like, I was really happy to see that, as I'm sure all of us were. I have a really special memory related to Jimmy Carter because I went to his presidential library in Atlanta a couple of years back, and it was around Rosalind's birthday, the first lady, and they were having a birthday card signing, and me and my girlfriend were actually able to sign a birthday card that was going out to her, and we like got to write a nice little message, and I always thought that was nice, and I think that I've got a lot more of an appreciation for Jimmy Carter now, just having learned more about him. You can see wrong side. You could see, wow, I'm really bad at this. His Very Best is right here on my bookshelf, which is a really fantastic book about Jimmy Carter. It's a book that has impacted me a lot in my own life, so I really recommend that. I'm just like recommending books all the time on this channel, but hope you guys like it. Alejandro Garcia said Claudia Sheinbaum apparently didn't invite the King of Spain. It was scandalous because the king was usually invited to the presidential stuff months ago. That's funny. I mean, I think I'm fine with seeing countries kind of do away with funny little traditions like that. I don't know. Sorry, I don't have that many thoughts on that other than just like I'm okay with getting rid of sort of like institutional stuff like that. Fernando said Valladolid. It would be a good video for Brazilians. However, I don't think Americans would care. Probably not. I didn't know Valladolid was like a common nickname for that city. That's something I've always heard my mom say. I didn't know that was something that a lot of people called it. So I'm from Ipatinga actually, which is in that Vale do Aço area. Fernando also said apparently there were some Americans working on railroads in Valadares back in the 1950s, and they brought some Brazilians back with them to work. That's how it started. That's crazy. Wow, that's so weird. I would have never guessed that. I'm gonna have to look into that myself. Nathan Galang said, I sat at a table with Charlie Crist and Louis Frankel at dinner back in 2022. That's really funny. Charlie Crist of all people. What a funny figure. What a weird guy. Alejandro said, my uncle's actually a representative in the Texas House. That's cool. Nice. Benjamin has met 2 PMs of New Zealand. That's awesome. Sir Butts got to see Biden visit his hometown when he was VP. Didn't really understand politics, but it was cool to see someone so powerful. That's really cool. Nice. Wow, you guys have a lot cooler stories than I have. Imagine lightning struck the National Cathedral and the tomb of Woodrow Wilson burst open, and the man himself walks out energized. What are his chances of winning? Pretty bad, because I think Republicans probably won't like Wilson much, and the Democrats right today definitely would not like Nixon. Alejandro says he likes my longer videos. Usually listens to them while doing stuff. Yeah, that's fair. I kind of tend to prefer longer videos myself. Fernando says, weird how you haven't met Bolsonaro. Every single Brazilian who lives in Florida, I know, has seen him around. I don't live in the Orlando area. I know like, he was really running around Orlando. I know several people in my area that have met him. Like I remember seeing a video of him at like a local church once, which is crazy. Like I have random uncles and like my parents' friends that have photos with him. Very, very strange. Nathan said the vids go hard either way. That's nice. Thank you. Michael said, what are some other biographies you recommend? Man, if it's on my shelf, that means that I love it. One that people probably don't know as much is Ted Kennedy. There are two great books about him called Against the Wind, or called Catching the Wind and Against the Wind. And they're sort of about the fall of American liberalism and how he was sort of like the last bastion of that and how he kind of entered the conservative era. And I think that like it's fantastic. I'd say it's like a sort of it's like a Caro-esque book in the level of detail and sort of like explanation of Senate procedure, but it's shorter than Caro, obviously, and it's definitely not as well known. So I really recommend that one. Miguel said, your video about the 5 Brazilian presidents is cool. Will you do separate videos of them, or will you focus more on U.S. politics? I would love to do a video about Getúlio Vargas, the very interesting figure. I don't know if I would do a video about like each individual president that I talked about in that video. Maybe a Lula video, but that video was very like Lula centric. I really framed him as sort of like the main character of modern Brazilian politics, or especially like Brazilian politics in this century. Miguel's comment: how did the Brazilian video perform in your opinion? It performed fine. Like it was pretty good. I think it has like over 10,000 views, which is like pretty okay for me. Like every now and then I'll have a video that like does a lot better, but that's it's pretty average. Honestly, I thought it would have performed a little better because people will always hype up like how much Brazilians watch stuff on this platform, but maybe I just didn't catch the right crowd. We got Palpatine in here, another one of the familiar faces. Great time for an Andre Dutra stream. Thank you. I mean, it feels good to be back. I started working full time a couple months ago, and like after that, I was so tired, and I feel like it was God, I'm really trying. Sorry, guys. Also, like I really enjoy streaming with Akai, but Akai has sort of like a crazy new job, and he like it's been so hard to catch a time to stream with him because I just feel like I'm not great at just like talking by myself for like this extended period of time. Like, ugh. So I'd probably stream more often if I could get Akai in with me. Happy birthday to Jimmy Carter. Yes, happy birthday. I feel like Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton's Democrats were way more conservative than Democrats today. Bill Clinton once said, the era of big government is over. Yeah, that was in my last video, actually, that Bill Clinton said that. I think, Carter... Hey, I mean, they talk about this a lot in the Ted Kennedy books that I just mentioned. By Neil Gabler, by the way. I don't think I said the author's name. Jimmy Carter, I've mentioned in my videos before, first sort of like break away from like the New Deal consensus, first sort of like more moderate Democrat. He was just, like a different kind of politician in a lot of ways. I think Bill Clinton was the only kind of Democrat that could have gotten elected in the 90s. Like we're coming off of Ronald Reagan, we're coming off of George Bush. Like Democrats just could not win elections at that time for the life of them. Country was in a super conservative mood. I think that Bill Clinton is really good at triangulation, and he kind of did what he had to do. Like you guys know, I'm a more liberal person. I don't agree with everything Bill Clinton did, but the man could get elected. Super talented politician. She emailed the president Jimmy Carter in Plains, Georgia, and got a response. I hope you emailed them from a Sheev Palpatine email. That would be fun. Nathan said Charlie didn't talk to him. He was busy. I mean, I don't know. He's just a funny guy. I wonder if he had like any weird mannerisms. It's like every time I've seen him, he just looks kind of strange. Um, I think a video Americans would be interested in is the Confederates who fled to the U.S. after the Civil War and established the city of Americana in São Paulo. They sold to a Confederate party yearly. Yeah, people always talking about the Confederates and the Nazis that went to South America. That could be cool. It's kind of scandalous. I did my video, a video that I actually really love, that was JFK's affair with a Nazi spy, and that video was like has a super scandalous title. Obviously, it's scandalous subject matter, and I thought that would perform a lot better than it did. And it performed like okay for the time. So I guess you don't really know how well something's gonna hit. Wolf Acroni said, "Who's a historical figure you don't care about at all?" Man, I have a really hard time connecting with older, like pre-American Revolution history. Almost, I don't know if like it just feels too far away. But anything like the Greeks, the Roman Empire, like the Ottomans, anything like that, I just have a really hard time connecting to. I don't know if I just don't feel that it has as much like relevance in our modern day, but it feels so far away. I'm a lot more of a modern history person, and I'm sure there's interesting things there. Like I'm not knocking anyone who is interested in that, but it's just not something that I'm that interested in myself. I've never been that interested in like war and battles and those things. Like I could never be a sort of like World War II nut or anything like that. I'm a lot more interested in the character aspects. So you guys know Bolsonaro is doing side quests, yeah, which apparently includes like meeting all of my family members except me. So, one historical figure I don't care about at all is those British king named Richard the Rose. Hey, that though it kind of falls into what I was saying. Chief Palpatine. Actually, maybe I kind of care about them because Henry VIII. Henry VIII is interesting. Yeah, like that's probably one of the more like noteworthy things. Alejandro said, so before doing your research, you have a lot of assumptions whether right or wrong about Nixon. You seem to have a lot of respect for him. You talk about him versus when most people talk about him. Man, that's so funny. Like people, like how kind was I to Richard Nixon in my What Nixon Thought of Other Presidents video? Because I've gotten so many sort of comments there, just saying kind things about him. And I got a comment from the Nixon library. Like I think I've mentioned that in these streams before. Like I got the Nixon library cosign on that video. And that's when I was like, wait. I was like, did I give Nixon too much credit? If you go back a lot earlier into my channel, I have a video called How Kennedy Won. It was like one of the first videos I ever posted. And it was I had probably like 100 subscribers. And it got like 10,000 views, which was huge. It was huge for me. And I was not super kind to Nixon in that video. I called him like hot-headed. And I was like, yeah, if Nixon won 1960, like maybe we would have, like, how would Nixon have handled the Cuban Missile Crisis? Just like speaking confidently about something that I didn't understand very well. Roland Nelson just said that the John Farrell biography of Nixon was fair. Yeah, that's the biography that I read, and I quite enjoyed it. I don't know. I think I approached Nixon on a human level. And that's sort of the thing that I try to do with my videos, right? Is like, since I'm not sort of assessing like everything good or bad that they ever did, I'm just kind of looking at them like, why are they the way that they are? Why do they tick? Like Nixon is a gold mine there, like Nixon's this weird, like neurotic sort of dude who's like clearly very brilliant, but is just like such a flawed character. Like Samska just said more like the most interesting president in your opinion. Like, yeah, definitely like one of the most interesting presidents. And I think I was probably a little like I bought more into like the one-dimensional view of Nixon. Like I probably have a bit more positive of a view of Nixon than I did before learning more about him. But I'm just sorry. I fidget a lot with my AirPod, and I hope that doesn't make any noise. Um, but I don't know. I think he's fascinating, especially on a human level, and I would love to do more videos about him there. Let me drink some water. Actually, sorry, I've been talking for like 30 minutes now. Okay. What are my thoughts on the Diddy situation? Man, Diddy's come up on these streams before. And the apparent ties to Trump and other celebrities like LeBron. Man, Diddy was really famous. Like Diddy was really freaking famous, dude. Like people on Twitter are sharing pictures of Diddy with like every celebrity ever. And it's just because Diddy was there. Like he's been famous since the 90s, man. Like there's probably some celebrities that were in with Diddy and did like weird, gross things. You know, like I'm not really sure who. I don't really have enough information about that credibly. I'm not into this sort of like doing conspiracies about like everyone who's ever had a picture with him, but I won't be surprised if there's someone in it. Like I don't know about Trump and LeBron specifically, but let's see what comes out. Sheev is mainly into war and politics. Main era is the interwar period, World War II and the Cold War. Yeah, I mean that's like really interesting. You know, like I love those eras. Like I love learning about them. I just don't really lean into the war aspects as much. Like it's sort of like the period surrounding World War II, the Cold War period. Like I know you guys know my special interest is in like the post-war period. So you know, to each their own. Opinion on Native American history. Man, need to learn more. I have a video I'm really excited about that's coming out this Friday. It's out already. If you're a patron or a YouTube member, you can get it early for as little as $1 a month. Had to hit you guys with a little plug. But I honestly have to learn more about Native American history. I know that sucks, but like I just I don't know that much about it, and I wish I did. Like obviously it's a tragedy what happened to them. Like a lot of innocent people died from like disease and from killing, and it's just not it's just one of those things everyone always talks about, unfortunately. How many countries have you visited so far? And a video about Bolsonaro might be interesting because of his ideas compared to others. It was funny seeing him walk around random stores and all that. I've not been to very many countries at all. I went to Mexico when I was very little. I was born in Brazil. Obviously, lived there for the first 3 years of my life. Lived there for 2 years again during middle school. I've been to Canada briefly, and I've had a layover in Panama. I don't really think that counts. I would love to visit more countries. I really need to. Like I've really focused on the U.S. I don't know if you guys saw the U.S. map of the states that I visited that I've posted. I posted a few weeks back, but I think I've visited like 21, maybe more states, maybe like 24. I'm not sure. I've done most of the East Coast other than Delaware and Maine. I think Delaware, Maine, and Connecticut are the only three that I'm missing on the East Coast. Then I've done the entire Sun Belt, plus Tennessee and Illinois and Pennsylvania. But as far as countries go, I need to travel more. My girlfriend's actually in London right now, so I hope she's having fun. Shout out to anyone who's in the UK. Let me know if you guys know any cool UK stuff. But I'd love to travel, and when I do eventually travel out of the country, you guys will definitely get videos while I'm there. I know the Nixon library is really online. It was just weird getting a comment from them on a video of mine, Nixon is legit just interesting, corrupt, yeah, but really interesting. Yeah, I mean Nixon's super fun to learn about. Nixon was brilliant, assumed the other side was going to cheat, and then decided to shoot himself. Yeah, that's how it goes. Most interesting presidential library with a YouTube Shorts helped me develop my Nixon impression. Or most yeah. Someone told me I had a good Nixon once, and I really don't think I do necessarily. It was that quote with him that I featured in like 3-4 different videos, probably the one about like Bobby Kennedy, like a 17th century Jesuit priest. It's not great. Roland says he was naturally paranoid. Building off Diddy. What about Epstein presidential? Man, like I man, there's some weird stuff there with Epstein, Like there's the Bill Clinton massage photo, truly infamous. Like obviously there's the plane and there's the island and there's the Trump connections. Like that's the really funny thing. Is I don't remember who it was, but during the DNC, someone was like, "Oh, we don't attack Donald Trump on Epstein because we still want to have Bill Clinton at the DNC for some reason." And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I thought that was really funny. It was more recently I learned more about Nixon and learned to actually appreciate him as a man and statesman despite his flaws. Yeah, Nixon. Say what you want about like agreeing or disagreeing with his foreign policy, especially when it comes to Vietnam. But stuff with China, brilliant. Like really really hard to pull off. Big reason why Nixon was able to pull that off even was like his anti-communist credentials. Yeah, like you weren't really gonna think that Richard Nixon was being soft on communist China. So just like super super interesting stuff. Most underrated book on U.S. history. I'm going to. Oh well, I was gonna say Against the Wind, the Ted Kennedy book that I was talking about, but I've mentioned that book a good bit already. A book that I really like is JFK Coming of Age in the American Century. Stumbling a lot today. Don't know what's going on. Out of practice. JFK Coming of Age in the American Century by Frederick Logevall. Amazing book. I don't care if you've read books about JFK before. This one is different. Goes super in depth on his early life. It sort of paints him as like Forrest Gump, just going around and being a part of all these iconic, like super important historical events when he was a young man. It's a great way to understand World War II. You see like a lot of interesting observations that he made. I remember there was like this letter that he wrote to the accused Nazi spy that I made a video about, and I think it's even in the video where he was like, "Hey, why are we in the Pacific? Like, why are we fighting over these dumb islands and people are dying?" Just really interesting observations, and it was recommended to me as well. Actually, I don't know how many of you guys know Marshall Kozlov, but I interviewed him a few months back. He was actually the first person that I interviewed here on the channel, and he recommended me that book because just like being a young person who was interested in history, he was like, "Hey, it would be great for you to read about this other like young person who was interested in history and sort of get a perspective on that in terms of like a future president, And if you don't read the book, which I really recommend you do, and I'm eventually going to make a JFK video based off of that book, I at least recommend that you listen to Marshall's podcast episode about it. He has a podcast called The Realignment, and he interviewed Frederick Logevall about the book. Fantastic. Probably like an hour long, 100% worth listening to. And if you like that episode, you would probably really like the book. So, cool. I don't think every celebrity knew about Diddy's treehouse, but Trump definitely did. He definitely knew about Epstein too. Oh, I gotta learn more about it. Those are big statements. Big statements to make right off the bat right now. Yeah. Richard Nixon walking on. Nixon's a funny guy. Love the photos of him. That's why I use that photo as my thumbnail. Can I do an impression of George Bush Jr.? Yeah. Oh, I believe. Well, that was like a Clinton. What? I'm the decider, and I decide. I believe the human being and fish can coexist peacefully. Yeah, probably not great. So sorry. I feel like I'm probably doing okay, but just like right now, under pressure. Nope, not me. Apparently Diddy was impacted in Tupac's death, and I heard some people say he had tunnels to Michael Jackson's house. Did not know that. I mean, I know the God from the Eminem MGK disc, the Kill Shot was the name of it. The day you put out a hit, the day Diddy admits he put the hit out, they got pop killed. Julian Hurley said, "Love your videos. Which president from Coolidge forward do you think had the biggest impact on American public perception of what it meant to be president?" Ooh, what it meant to be president. That's an awesome question, man. Great question, Julian. Thank you. I think okay, so FDR just first and foremost would be huge, right? Like FDR, you got to remember, president for 12 years. Let's say you were like 12 years old when FDR became president, 1933, right? You would be 24 by the time that he passed. You know, he was the only president that you ever knew. President through the Great Depression, president through wartime. It is like inconceivable how much he shaped the perception of the president that people had going forward from there. In terms of later on, I think that Richard Nixon would probably be a huge one, just because I mean it's the video I just made, the era of lost faith. Like people fundamentally like kind of turned on the president after that and became a lot more suspicious of politicians, and that's how you end up getting like you get scandals like Iran Contra, and you get like the media being very critical about Jimmy Carter. You get the Lewinsky affair, like George Bush, also another like huge thing, like loss of credibility with Iraq. I don't know, like it's so funny you say that because I just put out a video about the changing perceptions of the president and how it's all sort of gone in that direction. So I think I would mainly say FDR and Nixon would be huge ones. Gotta give Nixon credit for the detente. Yes, you do. Okay, Palpatine said, "What are your thoughts on the Vance Walls debate?" I kind of started the stream off with that, but I'll go back over it again really briefly. I pretty much agree with like most things people have been saying online. Like Walls, I did not know he was going to be that weak of a debater. Like I think Walls is a very talented politician, and I'm surprised the Harris campaign hasn't been making better use of him. I feel like all his best attacks sort of came before he joined the campaign ticket. But I was surprised at how bad he was doing at first. Like that China answer was really rough. I think that he got better as the debate went along. Like JD Vance, very like well prepared, smart guy, obviously like Yale educated lawyer, like very good at arguing. You can like contest the stuff that he was saying. Obviously, like there was a lot of falsehoods in the things that he was saying, and there were like weaker moments of his performance. Like the January 6th answer is obviously going to be a huge thing that people remember, probably the thing that people remember from the debate, and also just like the weird like you said you weren't going to fact check me thing. Like you guys know me, you know I'm biased. I will say, if I had any sort of like more unique observation that I haven't seen people talk about as much, I think that Vance almost felt like he was running for president. You know, it felt like he was talking more so about his policy interests, not necessarily like things that Trump really cares about, or that the Trump administration, if it were elected to a second term, would necessarily do, but just like the things that JD Vance would do as president. Like one could argue that could be him positioning himself for 2028. If Trump loses, to be like the sort of heir, or even if Trump does win, to just like set him up to be the next president. I don't know. I think that like obviously it was more civil. Like that was kind of the main point we talked about earlier. it sort of reminded people of what came before. I mean, I got like it was a more boring debate, but debates just were usually boring before the Trump era. You know, I'm curious what you guys think. If you have any interesting thoughts, agree or disagree, let me know. Cole said, I was reading the autobiography of Calvin Coolidge, and I frankly find him fascinating due to how underrated he is. Recommend checking out if you like Silent Cal. Ain't so silent in this book. Ooh, autobiography. I've never read the autobiography of a president. I've only read I've read Hours Before Daylight by Jimmy Carter, which is like a memoir about his childhood, and I thought that was a fantastic read. But I haven't read an autobiography of the president. I know that everyone says the Grant one is great, and I definitely need to check it out. Sorry, there's only so much time in the day. I'm always reading a book, and there's still like all these books that people recommended me that I've not gotten to yet. But that'd be awesome. Like I need to learn more about Coolidge. He's someone people bring up a lot, and I just don't know that much about him. So, Will Faccaroni said, this is something strange, but apparently, according to some declassified flight logs, Trump had Eric Trump come with him to that. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Will Faccaroni, sorry, that was the same comment again. My bad. He said, how do you get the visuals for your videos? Man, I get my visuals on YouTube. I do. I don't know. My videos have like a really specific vibe visually that I don't necessarily know how to describe, but it's always just digging through a lot of old clips. I like sort of texture. I like having things that kind of take you back to the era and being able to kind of embody that look. I think is very nice. It's just a lot of digging. It's just a lot of like going through there. I think that. I mean, like sometimes it's really hard to get footage. Like for the JFK affair video that I did, I used like every clip of young JFK that I could possibly find. Like I I used like every second of every clip of him as like a young man that was out there, and I had to be like really creative with how I stretched it. It's just a lot of digging. Like for footage of LBJ actually has a lot of really good like film footage of him that's up on I think the LBJ library page. There's just like hours and hours of him like hanging out on his ranch or like going on a Christmas vacation and stuff that I've always really appreciated, and I like using that footage a lot in my videos because it looks great. For photos, because I have a video editing background. Like people always kind of ask me, "Oh, how do your videos look like that?" Like I've been doing video editing and like production since I was like 14 through school, and I've like done that professionally on and off through the years. So there's just a sort of a lot of stuff that I brought in from there. People have been kind of recommending that I use photos a bit more, which is something that I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to do that in interesting ways. But I don't know, like visually, I kind of look up to like Johnny Harris and like the Vox kind of editing style. I know that's not necessarily what I do, but that's kind of what I sought to emulate when I started. So if you have any questions about like video editing and the production side of it, I would love to answer those because that's something I don't get to talk about as often, and it's something that I really like. Cole, I'd also add to the suspicion of the presidency and of the government that I believe you forgot to add, which is of the Iran-Contra affair during the Reagan administration. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Like the problem with that, honestly, like if I could go back and do the Lost Faith video, I probably would have given it another week, and I would have talked more about that, or would talk more like about George Bush. I think that like I wanted to get a video out just because it had been a while, and I might have rushed that one a little bit if I'm like being totally honest. But I like it's a fair point, and I'm sure it's a subject I'll revisit in the future. But that's a valid criticism. Trump loses. I think he'll run in 2028. Ah, man, I don't know. He said he wouldn't. I don't know how much his word counts for, but he said he wouldn't. And he'd be 82, and he's old, and he's probably tired, and he probably doesn't want to do this anymore. And honestly, like the DeSantis bitch, I think I've said this before on here, but the DeSantis bitch that he made of like, hey, Trump is great, love Trump, but like they hate him too much, he can't win. Like I'm a winner, I can get things done. I think that would work in 2028 if Trump lost and decided to run again. I don't think that, like, obviously it didn't work in 2024. Mr. Never back down himself. Can tell you that. Cole, or no, Cole. No, you're right. You're completely valid criticism. Which president was elected right after Wilson? That was Harding. No, I believe it was Harding. Hershey Central. Are you aware of the subreddit called r/presidents? Yes, of course I am. In the early days of this channel, I used to like try to post my videos on there, and then sometimes they would like get blocked, and sometimes they wouldn't. But I don't think anyone really particularly found my channel through there. I've always been more of like a lurker on like Twitter and Reddit and stuff like that. And I've been trying to be more of a poster, at least on Twitter as of late, just because I would like to like make more online friends and kind of like be part more of that conversation, like meet other creators and stuff. But yeah, I'm aware of r/presidents. I've been in it for like years. Any particular non-presidential book recs? I'm gonna assume that you're talking about like nonfiction. Man, I read a lot of presidential books. Like I'm always reading books about presidents. I wish I had more. Man, a great. I like comic books. A great comic book I would recommend you. I'm sorry if this isn't necessarily what you were asking, but Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, absolutely fantastic book. Love that book. I picked it up because of the movie that's coming out from DC Studios that's inspired by it. And I was like super pleasantly surprised. Beautiful art, beautifully written, amazing story. There's going to be a movie based on it coming out in the next few years. Incredible. If you're a comic person, even if you're not, I recommend checking it out. It's like $10 on Amazon or something, I think, for a physical copy, which is not bad at all. Saw the Reagan movie a few weeks ago. My dad's conservative. Started crying. Oh man. That's overall, I think it's decent as a story. I can see clips of it being used in classrooms. Really, I saw a lot of criticism about it being like boring and sort of like Reagan worship. I didn't watch it myself. Man, I should. I have AMC A-list, and I do not go to the movies as often as I should. Since I started working full time, it's just been so hard. I wanted to go see the new Transformers 1 this week, but I'm also supposed to see Joker, and I never got around to seeing Alien Romulus. There's just a bunch of things that I need to watch. Nathan said, I actually agree. Mix of ego and trying to run from crimes. I think he'd run again. Honestly, even if he went to jail, he'd win a Republican primary. I don't know. Do you guys, what do you guys think? Do you think Trump would win a 2024 primary, like, or a 2028 like competitive Republican primary? I'm not sure. It seems like I could be convinced otherwise. You know, Reagan movie also really ignored Iran-Contra. It just shows some bearded guys in leather jackets receiving a box of money and a focus more on the threat of impeachment. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with just like super fawning biographies, right? Have you seen how insane Tucker Carlson's guest star, Daryl Cooper, the Nazi defender, Alex Duggan, the Russian fascist, the guy playing that had freak offs? Yeah. Okay. So I remember the Obama guy. That was weird. I don't think that guy has credibility. I'm reading a book about Obama right now, the David Moranis book, which is like mostly about his family, which is pretty good. I didn't hear about Alexander Duggan, the Russian fascist. I'm not familiar with that guy, but I know the Daryl Cooper story because that like just happened, right? There's some crazy stuff in there. Jagden just joined. What got you interested in politics and history? Man, oof. Okay. Ugh, I had to take a sip. Sip of water, guys. Just water. Um, so my sort of origin story when it comes to that is like a little weird. Like it's much weirder than most people's. But basically, Trump was running in the Republican primary in 2015, and it was just like sort of craziness all around, right? And I remember like seeing the like inflammatory statements and being like, "What? This is crazy!" I'd never paid attention to politics before, and I only knew Trump from. Well, I'm not my parents are not very Americanized at all, so I didn't really know about like The Apprentice. I like vaguely knew who Donald Trump was, mostly from like the Epic Rap Out of History episode with him, like prior to him being a politician, where Nice Peter played him instead of Epic Lloyd. Uh, um, and I just like was paying attention to like how weird he was and watching videos about that, and I started sort of watching like night hosts talking about it because I was 15 and I didn't really have taste. And I was just interested in the election through that. And then I remember so I started watching John Oliver from there. And there was a John Oliver episode where he featured Lin-Manuel Miranda from Hamilton, and it was an episode about Puerto Rico, and he rapped at the end, and I was like, this is pretty good. And I checked out Hamilton, and Hamilton and Trump both kind of pushed me into politics and history because I wanted to know more about the figures that were talked about in the musical. And I didn't really have much of a music taste before then either. And I sort of like became a huge rap fan through Hamilton, which I think I'm like the only person who probably became like a huge rap fan because of Hamilton. But oh well. And I also became a huge politics person, like history and politics person from there. I ended up like watching a lot of early Mr. Beat videos actually in like 2017 were some of the first things that I ever saw about presidential history, and that was like a really helped me learn about it and kind of get into history tube. And I ended up majoring in political science in college and starting this channel because I've always been like super interested in video production, and I started like reading books about presidents, and it's just kind of become like my thing. And I don't know. I think I've always been interested in things with a lot of lore and a lot of history. Like I've always like wanted to understand things. Like I remember one of the first things I ever like really fell in love with was Pokemon, and just like going on Bulbapedia, a website that I don't think even like exists anymore, and it's kind of like researching, like learning all about the Pokemon and reading that page. And I remember like falling in love with like superheroes and reading about like all the different Robins and like and Batman lore and stuff on Wikipedia, you know. And that's just the kind of stuff that I like. And I think when I got into history and got into politics, and there was just always constantly more things to learn. You know, like politics is the study of everything. Like no matter how much you learn, there's always going to be more, and it's always going to be more complicated. And I think that was really appealing to me as a person. And I'm just like a really character driven guy. Like I originally wanted to be a filmmaker, and I'm like very interested in character driven storytelling because that's always been the most compelling to me, whether that be in history, whether that be in rap music, you know, or like movies. That's just what's always intrigued me the most. And I think once like I really like took the the history stuff to another level once I started reading biography, because it was just the sort of thing that I was really looking for. And I think that's what I really sought to bring to my channel was like biography level insight into these historical figures, like these very like intimate details, like what are their motivations, why do they act like this, like, you know, like why are they doing the things they do, why were they effective, why were they not effective, which I always sort of sought and wasn't able to find, even in like other like videos from like content creators that I really love and respect. You know, that was a super long answer. Hope you guys hope you guys enjoyed. God, I'm probably so behind on comments. I don't know. Well, the problem with this format is you guys comment on the things I say, and I don't get to it for like another 5 minutes. I'm sorry. Um, Enon said, "Can you make a video about Teddy Roosevelt?" Yeah, I actually talk about Theodore Roosevelt a lot in my Western video that's going up this week, and that you can access early on Patreon right now for as little as $1. No, I would love to make a video about Theodore Roosevelt that focused more on like the strenuous life aspect of it, like he was an outdoorsman and the sort of like impressive personal story that's there. Like I just said, those are the things that I'm interested in the most. Oh, okay. Reagan is definitely Reagan worship, and it's really bad at history, but story wise, I think it's not that bad. I'll check it out. I like watching presidential movies. I don't know why I didn't go catch Reagan. Nick, I'm so sorry. Like, it's a good question. I've answered it twice already, so maybe you could go back and watch it later after the stream is done. I'll leave it up. But I agree pretty much like the mainstream conversation online. Nathan said Trump has already got so much baggage and has consistently caused Republicans to lose since 2016. Didn't even show up to the debate. DeSantis was perfect. Trump's policy was perfect. Trump's policy without baggage, but he still lost. Yeah, because he's not Trump. It's about Trump. People don't like a lot of the people, and I got some flack for saying this. A lot of the people don't care about policy. A lot of the people just care about Trump. You know, that's not most of the Republican Party. It's probably like a solid like 30% of the Republican base, but it's a really influential 30%. And I don't think that there's enough to overcome that. I think what people like DeSantis and Vance show is Trump's vibes are needed for Trumpism. At least for now, the party base just loves his vibes. Yeah, I mean, Trump is all vibes, man. Like, Trump's really not that policy based because it's about him, you know? And that, like, I'm sorry if someone gets upset about that, but it's just true. He's just not that consistent about it, and you know that's just the reality, and I think it's really hard to argue with that. Will says Trump is unique as a president due to just how long they were famous from before they were president. For instance, alternate future Biff Back to the Future was partially based on Trump. Yeah, I mean that's I kind of talked about that and in the video as well, right? It was Trump came from this sort of like tabloid era, you know, like I actually saw someone making a really great observation. I'm sorry to the person because I don't remember the guy's channel name, but he was basically saying that Trump can't admit that he's wrong. Like, he won't admit a mistake ever because he came from the world of business and negotiation, and like every conversation that Trump is having, he's like sort of negotiating the terms of it, you know, like in a boardroom. All like the stuff he's doing would always be very effective, and to a certain point, it has been effective. You know, in like 2016, especially. Since then, you could argue it's been less effective. But that I think that approach, and just like he's just the amount of controversy, like he's oversaturated by controversy. Crazy amount of stuff you could say about him. Nathan studied political science too. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of us did. I'm be curious to know how many of you guys studied political science. Jack Otherstar is trying to get me in trouble. Mr. Beat or JJ McCullough. Man, okay. If I told you that those guys are like my two top like history YouTubers, like I'm not just saying that because I've like met them and become friends with them. Like, I loved like I found JJ a good bit after I found Mr. Beat. I didn't find JJ until like 2019, I believe. I think I found Mr. Beat in 2017. And I like absolutely fell in love with both of their content, and like I would not have believed that like I was gonna meet those guys and that they were gonna like my videos, you know. And I don't think I could have chosen between them even before like I became friends with them. But I definitely can't choose between them now. Okay. Can you do American explains Canadian election for Pierre's no confidence votes on the Trudeau government? Man, that could be fun. I would love to talk to JJ about that actually. Maybe I could bring JJ on to talk about Canadian politics if you guys would be interested in me talking to him again. Whoa, Ruhi said similar story here. It was Hamilton that first got me interested. And then later I watched the Bobby Kennedy documentary on Netflix and just got sucked into 60s politics and broader history. We got another Hamilton person. Let's go. I was unique. I thought that was I thought that was my only story. But okay. I will say I'm probably the only person who like fell in love both with the history and with hip hop because of Hamilton. Like that was a very direct pipeline for me, and those are like two of my biggest interests in life are just hip hop and history, and they both happen to come from Hamilton. But it's, I mean, cheers. Like I'm glad that you found it through that too. Opinions on soda. Soda is good. I think soda is good. I went a really long time during the pandemic without drinking soda. Started again. I never really liked ice cream floats until recently. Started liking ice cream floats. Really good. I don't know why. Didn't want to try it as a kid. I never tried it. I was like, that sounds weird. And now I tried it and I like it. I've my girlfriend really loves like the Ollie Pops and the Poppy sodas, and I've been trying those recently, and those are really good. I know Utah soda is like a big thing too. That's nice. I'm trying some more creative soda. I hope that's what you were asking. No, you might have been talking about like Obama soda. I hope not. I hope you were just I hope you were just asking about soda. Oh, and you said please do. I don't know what you said please do to. I was here so long ago. I'm sorry. Samska said, will you ever make a video about the history of gay rights in America? Man, I mean, that could be fun. I think, when it comes to stuff like that, it's sort of just like I'm just a straight guy, like I almost feel like that story's better told coming from someone who's like a little closer to it personally. Like I think there's definitely an interesting story there, and I would love to talk about it, but maybe I would do so sort of like interviewing other creators or like interviewing people I know in my personal life, kind of like getting their opinions on it. There's a fantastic documentary on Netflix about trans people in the entertainment industry, and I'm forgetting what it's called. I think if you look up like trans documentary Netflix, it'll probably come up. And that was like a really great documentary that I watched that like really like informed me more. And like I had always been like sympathetic and like accepting of trans people, obviously. But that documentary like made it like a lot more closer to home and sort of like made me care about it like even more than I did before, like more so than just like passively being, like supportive of it. Nathan said it's about swag, and I think I think that's about Trump beating the Republican. If Trump loses this election, do you think Vance will still have a career at the debate? I saw how much Vance was making a point of agreeing with Vance, and I feel like he's trying to stand apart. I think you're saying Vance is making a point of agreeing with Wolf. Okay, I saw someone say that Vance probably wouldn't have had a good chance of being the GOP nominee before this debate, like following a Trump loss, but after this debate, he sort of positioned himself better. I would agree. I think that Vance probably will still have a career because as like fairly unpopular as he's been like a good Trump attack dog. He's been a loyal soldier. Like he's a smart guy. Like at his best, he can be charismatic. Like he was definitely at his best yesterday when he's not playing to sort of like a right-wing podcaster environment. Like JD's just been on a crazy amount of podcasts where like he's just talking about different issues. Like if JD's playing to like the sort of liberal sensibilities that he used to, I think he's a lot more formidable of a politician than what the sort of public perception of him has been. Hey, Andre, what are your thoughts on the new Melania memoir that's coming out? Have you seen the ads Trump promoted, and will you read the memoir? Man, I haven't read, like I said, I haven't read many things that are written by like presidents and first ladies themselves. Melania is kind of an enigma, right? Like I don't know that much about her. The memoir might be interesting. I don't know necessarily that I would read it. I mean, maybe if it's like really good, I'll probably see like some details if that's like any interesting information on it. But I probably won't read it myself. Spec Coffee is currently a poli-sci major. That's awesome, man. Enjoy. I hope you like it. I hope you have some interesting classes. A lot of my poli-sci classes felt kind of like surface level, but I had a few that were like really, really incredible, including like a U.S. presidency course that was awesome. Gage Savage says, "Who's the most mediocre presidency?" Man, mediocre. So I guess it'd just kind of be middling, right? Probably choose someone from like one of those Gilded Age people, right? You'd probably choose like, actually, I was gonna say Fillmore, but Fillmore would probably be on a list of the worst ones. Maybe like an Arthur, like Chester A. Arthur. I don't know. Nick Fuentes peaked at 30K viewers last night on Rumble. What are your thoughts on these alt-right commentators like Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Candace O, Alex Jones, and their impact? Okay. And like as you guys know, I'm someone of a liberal disposition. I say that to just like acknowledge my biases, as if I wasn't like talking well about trans people like 5 minutes ago, which probably isn't something that you would get from someone from a like less liberal disposition. Nathan says Rumble views are botted. Yeah, like they do seem like they kind of fudge their numbers. I've seen like Mr. Beat in particular talk about that. I've never posted my videos to Rumble. I'd like consider that, but I don't know if it'd be worth it. Okay, so I would separate those people that you mentioned kind of into sections, right? Like I think Fuentes and Alex Jones would be like off in their own sort of corner. Yeah, I don't know, like Nick Fuentes is his own sort of like Groyper thing. Like Alex Jones doesn't like lean into like the Nazi stuff in the way that like Fuentes does, even if he does have like crazy conspiracy stuff. Candace Owens has really went off the rails in recent years, man. Like Candace Owens, I don't know if I'm mistaken, but I don't think she used to be like as bad as she is now. Like Ben Shapiro is like the most normie Republican dude out of those. Like, like Ben Shapiro was never a Trump guy who's kind of like a Ted Cruz voter. And then Steven Crowder he had all that weird stuff like abusing his wife, right? Crazy. I don't know necessarily that I'd call Ben Shapiro alt-right. I don't think I'd call him alt-right. He's probably more like a normie sort of Republican. Even if I don't disagree with the guy, I don't think he'd be alt-right. I mean, obviously, like they've had a really big influence on culture. Like Ben Shapiro, especially, is huge. Like it's sort of molded a generation of like conservative thinkers, sort of. Well, I'm really talking about Ben Shapiro, just like the whole like arguments on college campuses and the sort of like liberal tears and the facts don't care about your feelings sort of thing. And it's really cringeworthy Tom McDonald rap song. Like obviously, like it radicalizes people. It's like it sucks. I wish I had something more thoughtful to say about it, but I feel like there's been so much conversation already, and I'm just kind of saying things that most people have already said and already know. Snooky Coffee said, "Would you like me, a member of the LGBTQ community, to make a video in your place?" Yeah, that'd be awesome, dude. Like talk about your experiences. Like people got to have platforms, and you got to talk about the issues that are important to you. And if like that's a story that you think you can tell well, and that's the experience that you've lived, like that'd be awesome. Like I would watch it if you sent it to me. And I'm sure there's like plenty of like great like videos about LGBTQ history on the platform already. So Will Shack said, "What are your thoughts on the new young Donald Trump movie that the Trump campaign's been trying to sue?" I like Sebastian Stan. I like oh my god, Jeremy Strong. Yeah, Kendall Roy. I like Jeremy Strong. I think the trailer actually looked kind of fun. Could be bad, but I thought that it looked pretty interesting. Like it's probably going to be really anti-Trump, right? But it can't be worse than that fucking can't be worse than that James Comey series or movie. I forgot what that was. That was horrible. The Comey Rule. It's on Netflix. One of the worst things I've ever seen. God, that was atrocious. So bad. I hope the new YouTube update coming helps you because man, you're underrated. Oh, I didn't know there was a YouTube update coming. That'd be a nice thing to know for someone who would like to make their livelihood on here. That's nice of you to say. Like I appreciate sort of being underrated. Like it's funny you say that because I had I had 1,000 subscribers for like 2 years almost. And then I made the Jimmy Carter video and that blew up. And I had like 10K like 2 months after that, which was insane. Like that was an insane jump. And now we're at 17, like almost at 20K. I like the pace has been awesome. Like I've been super happy with the growth. Like I welcome like anyone that's coming. I'm super grateful for it. And I appreciate that. Like I said, I like to do this full time someday if you guys will have me. So See, Palpatine says that I don't even know what Rumble is. Probably like Twitter's Truth or X. This is kind of like one of those like free speech type platforms. It's more right wing, the kind of thing you expect. Nick Fuentes, open fascist. Alex Jones and Candace Paleocons, Ben Shapiro, former Republican. I think that's pretty good categorization. Nathan says, I have no idea what Candace Owens' endgame is. Sure, like right-wingers love a token, but it's targeting a Nazi. It's targeting a Nazi, a lesbian for a black person. I don't know. Yeah, Candace Owens, weird sort of career evolution there. I knew things was wrong. I knew things were wrong when she was running around with Kanye during that big anti-Semitism moment. I say that as a man, do I say former Kanye fan? I loved Kanye West. Loved Kanye West music for a really long time. Helped me believe in myself. Kanye music meant more to me than like any other artist's music ever. Broke my heart, man. I have a video about that too. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. Victory1 says, what state do you live in? You sound like you're from the mid-Atlantic. Man, do I? That's interesting. I'm from Florida. I'm from good old South Florida. But, I don't know. Would the Florida accent be distinct from the mid-Atlantic accent? I don't know if it would. We're very, very northern influenced. I actually have a video about Florida history that I'm currently writing that I would like to film this weekend that sort of talks about why the more southern parts of the state are influenced more by the northern half of the country, while the northern half of the state's more influenced by the south. I'm thinking about calling it Florida's ticking time bomb because it kind of talks about a lot of the problems that the state is like barreling towards. Wonder if you guys like that title. Let me know, or if you think there is a better one. What are my thoughts on Jimmy Carter turning 100? Whew. That man, I think it's cool. Like it's awesome to have a Centurion president, and I think it's something I mentioned in my Carter video is that Jimmy Carter basically lived in 3 centuries, built on a farm with no indoor plumbing, no electricity, basically the 1800s, like grows up to see like the entire American century, like becomes president, sees the 21st century, lives to see Y2K, 9/11, lives to see like COVID. That's insane. Like I've seen plenty of people joking like Jimmy Carter is alive the same time as like the Hawktua Girls podcast, which is really funny. I think I've seen people say Carter's been alive for something like 40% of American history, which is some insane figure. And it just reminds you how short our history really is. Hi, Andre. Did you see how the Richard Nixon Foundation praised you for your detailed video and Nixon and the presidency met throughout his life? It's funny you say that, Emil. We were talking about that earlier in the video. That was an awesome compliment. Like I really appreciated it. It made me feel really good about myself. And that really caught me off guard. It's funny. Akai, who I stream with fairly often, has it was like telling me forever, like, hey man, eventually the Nixon Foundation is going to see your stuff. Nixon Foundation is going to see your stuff, and I didn't believe them. I didn't think they would, but they did. So I guess I was wrong. Wolf Macaroni says, can you explain why Comey Rule was so bad? Man, I haven't watched it in years, but I remember just thinking it was just like painfully slow paced. Like it felt super like boomer liberally, I guess. Like it felt just like the most like generic kind of attacks against Trump you could do. And it was just this sort of like, I don't know, like it felt badly paced, badly written. I just the entire time I was a huge slog. Did not enjoy. George Stowe says, do you have a Discord server or any way I can contact you? We have a similar level of knowledge with our interests of presidents and American history, and I'd love to help you with your content. Oh, that's really nice of you, George. I don't have a Discord server. I would like to, but I've gone back and forth about doing that. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I'd have to figure out like moderators and stuff like that, and I don't really use Discord, so that would be a whole thing. And like I'm sure I could find like plenty of like nice people like you guys that like seem reliable and would be nice. As far as contacting me, like I'm on Instagram. You can DM me. I check that fairly often. You can send me an email. As far as helping me, I don't know necessarily about helping me. Not that that you're like not a smart person. Just like I'm sort of like a one person operation, and the idea of like expanding is a little scary. And like I do like I don't make much money, but I do make money off the videos that I do, and I'd feel bad like not paying someone, and like I can't really afford to pay someone, and there's just like sort of complicated levels of it, and there's also like a certain drawbacks to like relinquishing like your work and like part of things that are your own, and like I as much as I try to do the videos, like it's not very structured, like I kind of go back and forth a lot, and I think sort of like working with another person is like a big commitment. It'd be a big thing to like bring on. It's like no offense to you, like you should do some of your own content, like that would be awesome. I would check it out. Like if you sent it, like I'm sure that other people would like to watch it as well. And if you need any advice on that, feel free to let me know. Like I'd be happy to help you out. Emil says, hi Andre, in your opinion, what will happen to the Supreme Court with lowest levels of trust in the institution? How can we depoliticize it? I don't know if we can depoliticize it. I think it is a political institution now. I think that a code of ethics would help significantly, right? But I think that we're not necessarily... I don't know if there's going back, man. After Roe v. Wade, I don't think there's going back, at least not in our lifetimes. I really think that it's going to be a big issue going forward. Will Macaroni says, speaking of Nazis, thoughts on the Mark Robinson situation? Man, crazy, dude. Oh my god. It's so funny because Akai's in North Carolina. So I hit him up immediately. I was like, bro, like, do you see what's going on? Like, do you see this? He had no idea what I was talking about. For any of you guys that don't know, somehow, Mark Robinson, the Republican candidate for governor in Georgia, had some very salacious things, let's say, come out about him that I'm not going to mention on the stream. Where basically he was just like calling himself a black Nazi amongst a lot of other... My lights just blinked. I don't know why I like changed color. A lot of just messy stuff. I think that he's gonna lose. Obviously, I think he's down like 15 points in North Carolina. It's crazy. It speaks to the problem of like MAGA, like not very electable MAGA candidates winning primaries and then being defeated in the general, where like a normie Republican, like a Glenn Youngkin, who's someone who won through ranked choice, or not even ranked choice voting. It was some weird like convention thing, right? Like would definitely have won the race, and I think that he could have cost Trump the state, and that might end up costing Trump the election, which is insane, you know. Chiefs. See, this is the problem. Don't know what guy she was talking about. George Stowe, back on 2020, 2021. Oh, sorry, we're talking to Nathan. My bad. I meant to click Echo's comment. So South, we're part of the South. Echo, is that Jack? I think Echo might be a friend of mine. Is that you, Jack? If that is, let me know. If not, then that's just awkward. Sorry. Chief said Mark Robinson, the Black Knight. Yeah, not gonna talk about those things. Sorry, I probably shouldn't say that on stream. But yeah, there's crazy stuff about Mark Robinson that everyone could come up with. I find it funny you mentioned about northern and southern states being influenced by one another, since unfortunately my cousin has a Confederacy flag while living in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I mean, it's just become a culture war thing. Like if you're conservative, no matter where you are, like you might rep a Confederate flag because that's just a thing. And also, like, does your cousin have Southern heritage? Like he might, you know. Even if he doesn't, like I think it could make sense. I remember my family used to vacation in Gatlinburg, Tennessee a lot. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's kind of like this little tourist trap town in the middle of the Smoky Mountains. It's very cute. And I went there like as a kid a bunch of times. And then I remember going back for the first time after the 2016 election, where like I sort of came into a political consciousness, and just seeing the Confederate flag everywhere and being like, whoa, dude. Like I'd never noticed that before. And that was just like something that like I really associated with racism, which, Confederate flag. And just like this place that I always thought of like so lovingly, and that was just like the place I'd vacation with my family for the winter, like our little like New Year's vacation, like really sort of shattered like a lot for me when I was fairly young. And like I obviously like I know a lot more now, but just like for like a little Andre that didn't know that much, that was like a weird moment for me. Why do I think Dick Cheney why do you think Dick Cheney supported Kamala Harris? Liz Cheney definitely helps. I think the Republican Party is just like rhetoric. Like someone like Dick Cheney, who is a neocon and is maybe a little more socially like liberal because of like his daughter, and who's had the stuff like sort of stuff with Liz Cheney and like the election denial stuff. Like I see it there. Like it's a weird coalition. I don't exactly see like a bunch of Dick Cheney-ites, sort of going in that direction. But I'm not sure. I don't think it'll necessarily make that many people vote for Harris. I don't think Dick Cheney is a particularly popular person, but Steve says, do you think Democrats could ever appeal to the rural South again? Man, I don't know. So much of our politics is just about rural and urban divides. So a Democratic Party that appealed to the South, to the rural South, would have to fundamentally change our current dynamics. Because I feel like if you looked at a map of like rural versus urban areas in the US, and then you looked at a map of like Biden districts and Trump districts, you'd probably be looking at very similar maps. So a Democratic Party that I don't know. It would have to take a really significant realignment, and I think we're sort of going against that direction. So I really don't know what it would take to get there. Um, Echo said this is not Jack, which makes me really think that it's Jack. Hi, Jack. We should hang out. I don't know why we haven't hung out. I'm sorry, man. Um, what do I think of Bushisms? They're really funny. There was this great compilation on YouTube of Bushisms, and I think they took it down for some reason, but I used to like watch that all the time and show people because I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Like the I believe human being and fish can coexist peacefully. With like him dodging the shoe, the everything, the like Bush. That's the thing about Bush. Just like a president that I fundamentally like really disagreed with, but who's just like he's just funny, and he's not funny in like a Trump weird way. He's funny in kind of like oh look at this little weird guy way, which like doesn't make Bush any better of a president, even though it's like sort of contributed to his rehabilitation in the public eye. But they're funny. I enjoy watching them. They seem kind of tame now by comparison. I need more water. I lose my voice really easily, and my throat feels like it's starting to get shot. I don't know how people do this like all day. It's crazy. I might have to wrap up soon just because like my voice is kind of not feeling great. I always lose my voice at concerts. Went to a Childish Gambino concert a couple weeks ago. I don't know if anyone's going to that, but it ended me. My throat is not okay. So Emil, I've noticed in online platforms such as Reddit and the media how hated the Republicans are. Even their minute details are scrutinized. Oh, minute. Sorry. Even their minute details are scrutinized and made fun of. Isn't it too much unwarranted hate somehow? I mean, man, I would argue that like there's really hateful stuff about both sides on the internet. Like, yeah, places like Reddit and like mainstream media might have more of like a democratic bias, or even in the case of like CNN or something, I'd say it's more like an institutional bias, right? And for MSNBC, it is more so like a democratic bias, but for like CNN and other like mainstream media, I think it's more so institutional. I would say that like if you go on Twitter right now, for example, like Twitter is like so right wing, and you're gonna see like a bunch of people making fun of people on the left. So I think it's just a matter of where you are, and that's sort of a problem, right? Is that people like get into their own echo chambers, and it's less about like existing within like your own community in the real world, and you kind of find yourself in online niches, and that's something that I'm subject to. Like most people that I follow are people that like confirm my own beliefs and reaffirm my own beliefs, and that's not necessarily like the best thing, and it's something that I try to avoid. But it's also like, do you always want to be seeing like these like things from the other side that you don't, but that feel like bad to you? It is just kind of exhausting, right? I think that it's good to like interact with places that that disagree with you and that challenge you. But as far as like being hateful, like if you see like straight up hateful rhetoric, like maybe that's just not somewhere you should be. And also just like is like what kind of hate are we talking about, right? Are you talking about like people making fun of like JD Vance and the sort of like way he is, like being like, oh, he wears eye makeup or anything like that? Like I'd be kind of like curious to say like what sort of Republican hate you've seen to be specific. I unplugged my computer, but I should have enough charge. KB123 says, I'm a South Dakota Reaganite now living in California. I like your program. Thanks. Thank you. That's so kind of you. Now I unplugged my light. Okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to stop your nice comment. That's very kind of you. I like seeing someone with very different political beliefs from my own interacting with the content, and I like on streams. Obviously, I'm a lot like less filtered about things that I think than I am in my content itself. Cole said because it does not have any Southern heritage. That's funny. Uh, Will said, I went onto the Trump campaign tour and saw how many different kind of MAGA hats they were selling. They were advertising the dropping of new variations of hats like they were sneakers. You know, it's funny. I almost went to the Trump campaign rally in Doral the day before the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. Yeah. But it was like after work, and I would have to like make a trek, and I would have to pick up food, and like I wanted to go, but I was so tired. I'm like, I probably won't go. And then it was crazy because I would have seen him like the day before the assassination attempt. They sell crazy stuff. But like, have you seen the stuff about them selling the watch? That's pretty funny. Chief says, I don't think it's even that surprising to support Harris because of how drastically the Republicans have changed. Yeah, it's true. I guess Dick Cheney probably cares most about what, like Ukraine funding, probably, which is something that like a Harris administration will 100% do. So. Cole's cousin went to a Trump rally in Pennsylvania and said it was chaotic. They got a towel. Never seen a Trump towel. That's fine. I'll try to speed through the rest of the comments, guys, but I can't promise that I'm going to get to everything. Like I said, my voice is starting to really, really hurt. Do you think a lot of the critiques of the Bush administration on its response to the 2008 recession are valid? Do you think it's rooted in partisan dislike of them? I think for the most part it's valid. Like the more I learn about the Bush administration, the more it seems like as problems came, like he just didn't really properly like prepare to address them, whether that be like 9/11, whether that be Hurricane Katrina, whether that be the financial crisis. I think there's a lot of valid criticism there. I think having January 6th made me go like more back and forth, but before that I was like fairly certain that Donald Trump was not going to be as bad as a president as George W. Bush was. I don't know if that's a hot take, but like George W. Bush's foreign policy especially is just like not my thing. Although he did good things in Africa, I know. But as far as the recession goes, I haven't seen anything that really vindicates the Bush administration. George also says, what is the worst political movie? Oh, man, worst political movie? I don't know. Have I seen the worst political movie is the question? I don't really go out of my way to watch, like, the really bad ones. I'm trying to think. What's the worst one I've seen? Oh, you know what? It's that JFK movie, the Oliver Stone assassination one, where like the theories don't like make any sense, and like there's like valid stuff that could be like questioned and said about the JFK assassination, that isn't the official story, but just like oh my god, like the stuff in the Oliver Stone movie is ridiculous. It's like I'm sure you guys will know what I'm talking about. Tim Walz did something controversial with school shooters. I think he accidentally said he was friends with school shooters on the debate. I feel like Reddit's a very cynical place, kind of like a white male liberal aristocracy. It seems like everyone has the same opinion, same personality. Yeah, I mean it's a social media website where like people don't have to show their face or anything, which also really helps. So. Number one, Greg says, I'm going to do a research paper for school and I'm debating over if I should do it on why the Electoral College should stay or if I should do it on how America should run off a four-party system. I'd be curious what your theory for like a four-party system would be. I think that could be interesting. Probably a little less talked about, but I think it could also be like a little. It could be a little like less stuff about it, unless there's stuff that I just don't know that you're aware of, which could be true. Um, I'd probably do the electoral college if I were you. Why the electoral college should stay? I mean, like that's interesting. I feel like usually you hear the the opposite argument, and sometimes like a oh like I'd be curious if you had something to say that wasn't just like the sort of tyranny of the majority stuff that people usually say, which like because I would argue there like in the Senate for example, I'd probably say like to have a like some more representation that like somewhat population based, like let's say like this is just a number I'm pulling out of nowhere, but let's say like California got 5 senators just because of like how big it is, like let's say you get like 2 million or 2 senators up to a certain amount of population, and then you get like 1 senator for an additional like 10 million citizens that you have. It's something like that. I feel like would be the best way to keep the electoral college around. But I haven't done that much research into that. That's just kind of like the thought I've had myself. Wolfpack Roni, opinion on political commentary. Man, everyone does political commentary, right? Like anyone can grab a microphone and come and share their opinions. It's so funny because the first time I ever got interviewed by someone else here on YouTube, I remember I was like sitting in my chair and I was answering a question, and I was like, dude, I'm just a guy. I was like, like they were asking me these questions, and I was doing my best. And I was like, I'm just some dude with political opinions. Like I'm not particularly accredited. Like I have a degree in political science. And I read like all these books, but like I don't have like these like crazy credentials or anything. And I guess that's just sort of the democratization of media, right? It's like Charlie Kirk. Like I don't think Charlie Kirk even went to college, right? He just started Turning Point, and he's like huge, which is crazy. Like anyone can do that. I think like as long as people are sort of like good faith actors, like if you're informed and you're actually like saying the stuff you believe in, then I think like there's a place for you, like no matter how much we agree or disagree. Like there's people that I'm fond of, like I don't watch Kyle Kalinske as much anymore, but I used to watch a lot of Kyle Kalinske back in the day. Like I said, Marshall Kozlov is like a really good one who does the Realignment podcast. But Head in the Office, actually, I just interviewed Head in the Office, and like those guys are great. They just came out with an episode today. I really recommend that for anyone looking for a sort of like more laid back, like a left wing perspective. We had a great interview. And yeah, like I would love to talk to more political commentators. If you guys like, do you guys have any ideas for like more people I should interview? Because there's like tons of people I would love to talk to, and I'm curious like who you guys would like to see. Palpatine said X is more far right today than True Social. I don't know. That's a big statement. Because a new wave of racism under Musk compared to the normal boomer cons of truth. That could be true. I'm not on True Social, so I'm not sure. Huh. Number one, Greg said, "I love your content so much. You've been a huge inspiration to me." Oh my god, that's so awesome. That's so nice. And like someone telling me I'm an inspiration, like that's so crazy. Like I said, I'm just a dude in his room. Like that's crazy. And I don't know if you have a channel, Greg, but if you do, like I'd love to check out some of your videos. You can just send some my way. You went to a Childish Gambino concert too. Where'd you go? I went in Miami. Or not, it wasn't Miami, it was Sunrise. Yeah. Thoughts on the assassination attempt? Surprised at how irrelevant it was. Surprised how no one talks about it. I think it's really funny that he'll like the what account is it? Is it like the Trump campaign account or something keeps posting like, this happened 7 weeks ago. They want you to forget about it. And it's just like, dude, like, just, come on. Oh, okay. It's really disgusting how Trump didn't even congratulate Carter. That's crazy. I didn't know he didn't congratulate him. That's really rude. Wow. Um, Depending on the election, whether Donald Trump wins or loses, how do you think history will be seeing him in the near future? I think he'll go down as one of the most consequential presidents. Man, I think that depends on how much of a pivot politics makes post-Trump, right? Like, is this a turning point, or is it just kind of a bump in the road? Like, are we getting more Trumpian candidates in the future? Are we going to get more of this sort of like rhetoric and politics? Like, we've definitely realigned along Trump, like with college-educated voters, sort of going more towards the Democratic Party. Um, I like. It sucks to say, like we'll have to wait and see, but I think that really does depend. Hershey says, "Who do I think FDR was FDR's best beat? Henry Wallace, I'd say. I don't think Truman was barely even beat like to do anything like noteworthy, but I think Henry Wallace is a super like compelling and interesting figure." Mighty Raccoon says, "Why are you up so late? Isn't that late? It's 9:15. It's 9:15 here on the East Coast. I don't know what you're talking about. Might be late where you are, but it's not that late here." My sister, my sister is asking, "What's the biggest cultural difference between Brazil and the U.S. in my opinion?" Um, Individualism, 100%. The individualism, man. Uh, it is like super surprising, like how, like to what degree Brazilian culture is super family based. Like there's this huge sort of like reverence for your parents. Like the idea of like to my understanding, like in my like limited experience, the idea of like putting your parents in a nursing home is like crazy. You know, like a lot of times, like, if your parents are elderly, your parents will move in with you. Like a lot of people, unless they're like moving away for work or something, like won't move out until they get married. And there's like family, like people will just come together. Like someone will come over to your house and just like have coffee in the middle of the day. Like the work culture is super different. There's a lot more vacation time. There's a lot more like social wealth, blah, 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 welfare systems and like social safety net in place. Like I something like growing up in a Brazilian family, I'm very surprised by how much like Americans eat out. Like that's like something that's been like a big thing, especially like 'cause my girlfriend's American, my girlfriend's Jewish, and like just like the amount like they go out for dinner and like someone's birthday, like we go out for a dinner celebration. I just realized I'm answering my sister talking about my girlfriend, like she doesn't know who my girlfriend is. Like we go out for dinner for every celebration, and it's not the same sort of like party culture. Like Brazilians are really loud creatures. Like if there's a Brazilian person around, like like you hear the Portuguese, like they sort of like the community there is a lot stronger in my experience. Yeah, those are some of the huge differences that I've noticed. Okay, guys, really got to start wrapping up. So the last question I will take is the one that, or actually, okay. Send your like next couple questions. Those will be the last ones. After that, we'll wrap up. Okay, just so I make sure like any final questions are answered. I like political ceremony. Well, in fact, I like pardoning the turkey. I like the morning suit. I like all that stuff. I think that you gotta treat the office with reverence, right? Like that's why I don't know. Like I think it's important to like wear a tie. Like I know that's been a debate recently. I kind of like the sort of pomp of the presidency and like treating the office with the respect that it deserves. It's bigger than any one person, you know. It's the presidency of the United States. You're the leader of the free world. It's the most powerful office in like the history of in the history of human beings. I enjoy it. Like I like all the presidency stuff. I like a shirt with the seal of the president. I think it's awesome. You know, like I like the West Wing. Mighty Raccoon said Kyle Klinsky is great. Yeah, I like Kyle. Greg went to the one in Riley. Okay, that's real far away. It would have been funny if we were at the same concert venue. Genuinely feels like nothing matters anymore. Political vibes are set, and not even an assassination attempt can shift them. I think if Trump had been shot by like a left winger, I think that would have had a lot more staying power. But I think since he was shot by like a conservative guy, there was less to sort of make a big deal of. Henry Wallace for the win. Yes, I do like Henry Wallace. Chief Palpatine said, everyone forgets about FDR's VP John Nance Garner. No, I remember John Nance Garner. Super, like, not a fan of FDR running for a third term. So the vice presidency wasn't worth a warm bucket of piss. Former Speaker of the House. Pretty interesting guy. Opinion on North Korea. North Korea. I'm sorry, I really got to wrap up. I feel like that needs like a long answer. North Korea is bad. That's like the most standard answer I could possibly give. I'm so sorry. What are your thoughts on Huey Long? This is like one of the number one recommendations I've been getting since people started watching my videos more. It's a Huey Long recommendation. Man, you know it's funny because I used to go to Louisiana a lot, and that would have been like it would have been great to do a Huey Long video. But maybe I'll go and go again and do one. I want to record more on set, like on locations. That'd be really cool. Gotta learn about them. If you guys have good books, recommend it. I'd love to check it out. I've never read a book about them, so would be really interested. Trump visiting North Korea, step in the right direction to peace in East Asia, or was it just an unsuccessful photo op? I think meeting with people is important. I think that when you get together in a room with another human being, that you can get a lot more done than you ever could through like other channels. Like I think like the two people in a room together can make a deal, and it's a lot easier to like relate to each other and see each other as people. So I'm like super supportive of meeting up with people. Do you think Mike Johnson after 2024 will be Republican Party leader of the House? Huh. I guess it depends how Republicans do in the House. I think he's been doing fine enough, right? I haven't seen like huge things I haven't seen any like big movements to recall him that I know of. I think like he's been all right as far as Republicans, as far as how Republicans perceive him. You know, I think he did do like Ukraine funding and like Israel funding, or no, it was Ukraine funding, but like the sort of Gates wing wasn't really okay with. Well, Paccaroni, what do you think the worst thing Biden did in office and the worst thing Trump did in office? How do they compare? Man, it's like for Biden, it's the Israel policy. I'm sorry if you wanted something like a little more, a little less common, but I really just like fundamentally disagree with the approach there. Like I think that Israel is doing a genocide. I think that man, just super light way to end off. Like I think that Israel is doing a genocide. I think they're going to become a pariah state. I think the U.S. could be using a lot more influence on them than we currently are. Like I'm not like Israel shouldn't exist person. Like I think that Israel does have a right to exist and does have a right to defend itself, but it doesn't have a right to like kill a bunch of innocent civilians. Like October 7th was obviously really bad, but Israel has just like wreaked so much havoc on Gaza and Biden. I don't know if it's like just ideology or if it's that he's like sort of old and feeble and can't really push back as much. And like Netanyahu, like look at how he's escalating war with like Lebanon. You know, like he would love to see Trump back in office, and like this sort of chaos that's going on right now. And you know, like it's not exactly an accident that it's timed for when it is. You know, it's quite the October surprise, right? So, as far as Trump, man, what's the worst thing Trump did in office? I don't know. Man, denying the election's really bad. I don't know, like, I don't know if I'm going to be that guy. Denying the election's really bad. I think, man, killing Qasem Soleimani was really reckless, too. There's so much I can say from Trump, and I got to wrap up. I'm sorry. Any interesting presidential campaign souvenirs you find interesting? I asked that since I'm the one that sent you the Bobby Kennedy pamphlet stuff on Instagram. That's awesome, man. Thank you. I wish I had more stuff to sort of show you guys. I have a couple buttons. I actually have a Bobby Kennedy button. I have a Kennedy Johnson. No, I have a few Kennedy Johnson buttons. I wish I had more interesting things, but really I gotta like get around to buying it. But these are two like genuine buttons that I have. I've been meaning to collect more of them. The Kennedy Johnson one's kind of funny, and this one is really small. I've like big hands, so it like looks smaller, but it's very, very tiny. How tall do you guys think I am? People kind of got surprised when they saw like photos of me standing up. And I don't realize if I just like look a little shorter on YouTube. Zach Staley says to watch Huey Long Life and Times on YouTube like 5.5 hours. Dang, okay. Let me write that down. I'm sure that would be a good time. Do you know who that's by? Or wait, no. I found one that's like 53 minutes long. I'll have to look for it. Okay. And then the last question will be, Derek, what do you think the U.S. will do about the rapid weakening of democracy and justice in Mexico? Man, I gotta know more about Mexico, man. Sorry, I don't think I can answer that question very well. I guess with that will be the end of the stream. God, 2 hours. That flew by. I hope that you guys liked it. I will try to stream more often. I will get a little more comfortable with streaming like by myself. And I'm excited for you guys to see the next video that's coming out, The Great American West. I tried like some new things. I like filmed on location for some things, and I like included some different footage on there. I'm gonna be filming on location this weekend for a Florida video that I'm doing. That's exciting. If you guys have like any ideas or like any feedback, anything, feel free to like leave a comment, DM me, send me an email. Like I'm super into like having conversations with you guys. And I hope that you guys enjoyed and have a good night. Like stay safe and enjoy yourselves, okay? See you guys later. Thanks for joining.